I'd like to welcome everybody to the Coaches in the Mouth. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Daryl Fimple. Welcome back, the Mouth Brent Bender, and our special guest from Hootens, Thomas Thrash. Well, guys, we're going to break down 4A, 5A here. 4A is something else. Let's just put the shocker out there. Thomas, let's hit with you first.
We went bold this year.
You did. Yeah, we got Dardanelle, number 1, got defending state champs Arkadelphia. He's loaded up at number 2, Mills at 3, Elkins 4, Warren at 5, Southside at 6, Nashville 7, Hamburg 8, Malvern 9, Highland 10. Well, let's start off with you, Thomas, a little bit overall. We're going to wrap this up at the end.
So we put some pressure.
Pick.
We put some pressure on them.
Yes,
Barry was really worried about it. He was debating on this because it's like, you got this defending state champ Arkadelphia coming back, and he's like, Dardanelle, I think is doing it. And I was like, dude, just put some pressure on him. Coach Vega is like, okay, thanks, But no, they got Creed Vega, his son, back, who's just committed to the Air Force. He's the all world. Everything goes around him. That Dardanelle Arkadelphia semifinal game was an awesome game last year. Arkadelphia comes up with a win and then goes on to the finals and beats Elkins. But I mean, that Dardanelle team has got a lot of guys back, a lot of talent, and I'm looking forward to see them play.
Well, it is. Well, let's just jump right into it. Let's start up here. Daryl, start with you. This 1-4A up here, your boy Zach Watson, Elkins, them made a run to the state championship game last year, having to replace some guys. You got Gravett. Prairie Grove is a team that Grove is a team that has a chance. They're always good. Coach Absher, Gentry. Talk to us, Daryl, a little bit about this. They pretty much dominated last year. Do you think they can do it again this year?
Well, once again, they're returning their quarterback. That's always a good start, especially in this offense. They got 6 returners on defense, 6 on offense. Got 2 all-conference players back. Got 2 returning all-state players back, too, in the quarterback, and then the Brooks Williams kid that led them in tackling last year. The biggest thing about them is they got 3 starters on a returning offensive line.
Yeah.
Which is huge. The biggest thing on the other side of the ball is their lack of defensive experience on the defensive line. So this is one of those things where you're going to see the scheme, if the scheme actually works this year. I don't know if we're going to be as explosive, but you never can underestimate, what Coach Watson does offensively. The guy's 45-7 at Elkins.
Hey,
yeah, knows how to win a little bit of games there in the land of the Elkins. I think that they're going to have a parade probably just for him eventually in that town. Finished first in their conference. They open up over in Oklahoma. Against Miami. Then they go to Dardanelle.
Yes.
That's going to be a game.
Once again, these guys play each other. You got to like it.
Ton of good
I want to play you. I want to play you, and we'll just come to your place. And then their third game's with Harding Academy. So they get some, they get a taste of both things heading into that conference. I don't see anybody in this conference really challenging them. Gravett's, picked there at second by the coaches, because they're returning, 4 on offense, 6 on defense. But once again, they're kind of running a 2 quarterback system, which is, here's the thing about 2 quarterback situations. If you don't have one, I don't know how you think you have 2. But anyway, we're going to play them both. Maybe they give us a different, scheme or look. And I've never heard that, even Spurrier, tried it for a while, who's a master. But a 2 quarterback system, and that's tough. And if it works, it works because you give them, 2 different looks.
Well, let's head over to the 2-4A, and I agree with
Elkins. So Elkins, Watson is on the path to win a state championship, just naturally. Was it 22? Yeah. So then he's won the game that he lost the year before every year. So like 3 years ago, they lose in the first round. So then the next year they lose in the second round. Then they lose in the third. Then they lose in the state finals. So, I mean, technically he's got to win it. It's progression. Yeah,
part of the progression.
Exactly.
Well, go ahead.
In the 28 job openings, his name was pretty hot. So he's staying for a reason there, fella. He's got a master plan to maybe win one more. But there's definitely reasons that guy's name was getting thrown around a lot. And he elected to stay there at the land of the Elkins Antler.
I feel like I've been at all of his losses, though, all 7 of them. You know, it's like literally, they've all been huge games and they've all been close games. I mean, I'm excited to see them this year.
Well, I am.
And Thomas just got banned. He just got banned from all Elkins.
I've literally
There's going to be
only
like
been to
a
his
wanted
loss.
poster. There's going to be a wanted poster of you up now wherever you go.
Bo Embry does that too. Bo Embry will always look at me and go, "Oh crap,
Uncle
you're
Bo
here."
Yeah. Uncle Bo, he believes in him. We're going to talk about Uncle Bo. Let's hit the 2-4A. And this was an interesting league last year. And we got talking about it. You know, we got Mills, you got Lone Oak. You know, Coach Benberg, second year going into it, so we're getting that program around at Heber Springs, CAC. But the Mills Comets, let's do this. Go ahead and start this off. I'm going to bring on Coach Cortez Lee from the Mills Comets.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Well, great to have you. Hey, let's get into it real fast. I mean, you guys ranked number 3 overall in the Hootens. You guys are preseason number 1 in your conference by the coaches poll. You've got 7 guys back on offense, 6 back on defense. Let's talk about your offense first. It all starts with Mr. Moody, the man that does everything for you guys. Talk to us a little bit, the guys you've got coming back offensively, and talk about Mr. Moody.
Yeah, offensive line is coming back. We lost our all-state guy, Nick Carter, but we have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. They were very young last year, but got a lot of experience, and we're looking for big things from those guys this year. As far as our quarterback, he's the guy that stirs the Kool-Aid, gets the engine started. Incredible talent. Guy's probably, in my opinion, the best dual threat quarterback in the state of Arkansas. He's capable of short yardage play, long yardage play, and overall has turned into a great leader. So we're expecting big things from our offense this year and overall our team.
Talk to us a little bit about defense. Defensively, you know, you guys have always been tough wherever you've gone. Y'all been really good on defense. Talk to us. You got a lot of guys back. Got 6 guys back on defense and some big, tough guys over there.
Yeah, we're returning 2 of our defensive linemen. Jamison Parker, he's been starting since his 9th grade year. Guy by the name of Isaiah Chambers, our defensive end, had a big year last year. 2 of our linebackers, they're coming back, our middle linebacker. We're expecting big things from him. He's a thumper. And 2 guys in the secondary. So overall, once again, those guys got a lot of experience last year, have some good up-and-coming 9th graders that we expect to fill those voids as sophomores this year to round out our defense. But overall, defense played lights out. Expecting some of the same things this year, even though we're a little young in some of those positions. But overall, I think we'll do well.
Well, and you hit it. Obviously, you know, you guys made a run all the way to semifinals last year with the young football team, and then, you know, got to Elkins and had to go make that long trip in the cold and all that good stuff. And I mean, it is when it gets that time of year up here, it's cold, and that part of it. But that's got to give you guys a lot of confidence coming into this season, just with that long run you guys did last year.
Yeah, most definitely. Good learning experience from Elkins. Congratulations to coaching his program. Special teams kind of bit us a little bit, but overall, that's why you play a complete game. So credit to Elkins. But I also think that you can always learn through your adversities and your losses, especially if you go in and work on those things. And that's what we plan on doing this year. Sometimes, man, you see the light in defeat. We don't want to make that habit, but we think that we've learned from that mistake, and we plan on correcting it.
Well, and no doubt, and here you are with your non-conference schedule on second cycle. You got Robert Hooks, who's really building that Osceola program. You know, went to the semifinals last year, and I think they're going to be better. And you got Ashdown, and then you're going to get in your league, and your league's really interesting because, you know, last year we were sitting here talking. There's a lot of unknowns. You know, Lone Oak with the new coach, and Reggie was at Fort City. Talk to us first about your non-conference, how that sets you up for down the road, and then let's get into your conference. I mean, I think it's going to be very competitive. You know, Lone Oak, Coach Benberg and them are going to be better. Heber Springs feels like they've come on CAC and those guys. And so, talk to us about first your non-conference with those and Ashdown, then just your overall conference and where your overall conference fits in the state.
Yeah, non-conference wise, Coach Hicks always does a great job with his programs. They play hard for him. They tend to execute when you don't think they're going to execute sometimes in tough games. But overall, I think his program is on the up. Expecting big things from him as well. Ashdown played them. We were just a little bit too fast for them last year. I think they're going to improve, make some minor adjustments. As far as we tried to get another game, but it was kind of hard getting another game, especially with balance. A couple 7A programs called, but I just think depth-wise and numbers-wise, we didn't want to tackle that situation right there, nor did we want to play way down. So I think overall non-conference would be okay. If we can find another one at the end, we'll take it. But it's going to give us a little bit more time to grow, make some adjustments from those games and get ready for conference. And speaking of conference, I think it'll be a lot more competitive this year. We just had a lot of success last year in our conference play. Lono gave us a battle. We pulled it out late third quarter, fourth quarter for a convincing victory. But I think coach is doing a very good job within his program. Heber Springs will be better. I think Forest City will be better, even though Coach Swin left that program. They had talent down there. Heber Springs will be better. CAC will be better. So we're expecting these guys to come out and compete, and we're taking nothing for granted. You know, our motto in our program is to go 1-0, and we're going to stick with that and not overlook anyone.
No doubt. Let's get overall in the state, which I think 4A is one of the toughest classifications to win it. Just there's so many games and staying healthy. You know, you got Dardanelle, you got you guys, you got Arkadelphia, you got Malvern, you got, you know, Nashville, you got Elkins, you got all these teams here. They're all going to be in the mix. What's it going to take for you guys to take that next step to get to War Memorial Stadium in December?
I just think a lot of consistency and growing. Being smart about our task at hand, which is to execute every play, play as a team. You know, a lot of times you get out of character when you have so much talent in certain positions, and guys tend to get out of script. But I think the things that we've been installing this year, making sure that we're going to be one of the smarter teams this year, in my opinion, because we're putting that time in. And those teams that we're playing up against, from Warren and Nashville, those teams want their get back because those are true blue blood programs, and you know, they're not down too many years. So overall, I think 4A is super competitive. The good thing about it, we'll have to face each other, and the process of elimination would narrow it down, and it gets very interesting when it gets to that point. But hey, we're just ready to go, ready to compete, and you have to play each game as it is.
Well, you nailed it. You know, everybody's got to play each other, and that's why I sit back and have a lot of fun, and you guys stress out on Friday night. Oh, man. Well, Coach, I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for taking time with us today. We'll have you on during the season, and you guys are going to have a lot of big games, and you'll be in our top 10 games this week. Good luck to you, and we'll be checking your work.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Always good to see you. Take care.
See you, Coach. Well, you can see Coach Lee's enjoying his golf game, actually, but he's also been working also. You know, he's out there. I feel like he feels really good about this team. Thomas, talked to us a little bit about this one. Benberg there at Lone Oak, he does a great job trying to take that next step, but Mills is loaded to bear, and I feel like they could really take this next step this year.
Mills was right there with Elkins in the semifinals last year with a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, just think about a 14-year-old kid. I mean, he's not a kid; he's a grown man, kind of like Cadillac Elson in 3A. And Elijah Moody is a grown man.
Yeah.
And I think he's thrown the ball better and better each week. I've seen him in team camps this year and throwing the ball a lot better than he did last year. I think he's only going to get better, and that's going to be huge for Mills with the talent around him. Benberg's done a great job with Lone Oak. I think they can challenge him. And Heber Springs, Caleb Carmichael, the prodigal son, has returned. You know, he was there as a player, and now he's building it back up. I think they won like 8 games last year. Yeah. You know, after winning 6 year 4 and 2. So it's. I mean, I think they're on a progression of they can make a run.
Well, but Mills is my dark horse a little bit. I mean, not they're a dark horse.
They're not dark. They're not a dark horse.
I mean, Daryl.
Michael Vick comes to my mind when I think of
Yeah.
Moody had 3,900 yards of total offense. The dude counted for 44 touchdowns, and the guy was 15. He was getting driven to practice. He couldn't even drive, guys. I mean, this That's an amazing thing. Here's the biggest thing about Mills, though, is they returned 4 starters on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So not only do you got Michael Vick back there, you got an experienced offensive line. The defensive line's led by Isaiah Chambers, who's an all-conference player. Defensive end Maddox Parker's back. He's a tackle in the inside. They're at all 3 levels defensively, really, really good. I mean, they got players coming back, and then offensively, like I said, you got that guy. You got 7 offensive returning starters and 6 on defense, and you know that in Little Rock they're going to get some players that moved in there too to help them out. So Zamarian McDonald's a big time player too for Mills. You look at Lone Oak, and Lone Oak's, they returned 6 starters on offense, 7 on defense. They got some offensive power. They got turf. Got turf field now over there. Got new press box.
Saw that.
All right, we might be getting invested in the winter. When you win, you get investments.
Millage.
Yes, the millage passes. That's how those things roll. We'll talk about that later on. I've been experiencing that lately. I like them villages. But yeah, I think this conference in Mills is going to make a big splash. I mean, they are right on the cusp last year. I really honestly think they outplayed Elkins. To tell the truth.
Special teams plays and turnovers.
Exactly. I mean, this is the biggest part of it. But the last 2 years or 3 years, actually since 22, they've won 10 games in 22, 8 in 23. They won 12 last year. And like I said, they're going to be really, really hard to beat because that guy is special. He's a special dude.
No doubt. All right, let's head over to the 3-4A. I like to call this the new look conference right here. Batesville Southside won it last year. Highland finished second, and Pocahontas finished third. They got all their coaches back. Gosnell's got a new coach. Truman's got a new coach. Rod Stinson over at Blytheville. Cave City with the new coach. I like to call this the new look league. Obviously, Batesville Southside has lost a few guys from last year. I thought they had a phenomenal team. Highland's got some guys back. Pocahontas, they need to keep their quarterback healthy. Got a great center and Carter Couch. This league's very interesting, Thomas. I mean, new look league. A lot of new Rod Stinson, good coaches in there. Tommy Cody at Cave City. I mean, talk to us a little bit about this league.
Hey, so I think it's the Southside Highland top league. Gosnell is going to be up there, though. I think Gosnell is I think they're picked 4th. I think they're going to probably make a run for the 1 or 2 spot, I think. And Pocahontas, obviously, the physical team. But it's Southside coming off a 13-win season. They lose in the semifinals to Arkadelphia, who goes on and wins it. One of the best seasons they've had. And they beat Batesville, which is a big deal, huge rivalry. And so I think they've gotten some guys in, and Owen McLaughlin, their running back, is one of the guys that to keep an eye out for. He's all state. He had 2,100 yards rushing, and that offense, it's just so tough to stop.
Well, and also now let's throw this out. Lost their defense coordinator. It comes up late to Greenland, and so there's a little change there. So there's a little mix. It's not always head coaches change. Those coordinators and that part. Daryl, I'm gonna come to you. Southside, Highland, Pocahontas, to Gosnell, and then Mouth. I'm gonna roll over to you. Talk to us a little bit about this league.
Well, Southside, I think this has became their league. Just to be honest with you, they've got 7 returning starters on both sides of the football.
I'm going to tell you who I'm going to watch out for in this league, Coach Williams, and it's near and dear to your heart. I'm watching the Pocahontas Redskins. You want to know why I'm watching the Pocahontas Redskins? Because it starts at the center position. Yeah. They've got an outstanding center, and your whole offense runs with your center.
Well, and I agree with it. And Carter Couch is one of the best linemen, I think, that's, They
lost so many close games last year. If they can turn around, lost a 12-point lead in their season opener, lose by 2 points. If they can lost a total of 2 other games by 10 points. So you turn those 3 games around, they went 7-3. You're looking 7-3 is a great season, but you're looking at a greater one.
Yeah, and if they can keep
lose to Southside by 3 points. I mean,
and you're right. I mean, they do have top-notch center. Let's go ahead and bring on Pocahontas head coach, Coach Casey Chester.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Well, I tell you what, here we go. You guys are ranked 16 overall in the Hootens poll, number 3 in the coaches poll in your conference in the 3-4A. which that's been a lot of change in coaches, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But a lot of changes in that part. But let's get into your football team. I mean, you've got uh, six guys back on offense, six guys back on defense, and an outstanding center in Carter Couch. Played a little defense for you. Hopefully, Spencer James can stay healthy this
Stay
year.
healthy.
Talk to us a little bit about your team. You got six guys back on defense, six back guys on offense. Made a run last year, went to Nashville and won a big playoff game, and in that part of it. Talk to us a little bit. You go on playoff run there, go to Nashville on the road, huge win for the program. Uh, in that part of it, talk to us a little bit about the momentum coming into season. Go to Warren to get beat in the playoffs, but what a great run there at the end of the year for the Redskins.
Well, it's a big game at Nashville. Community wasn't really helping us. Tough place to play. They were telling our kids, tough place to play. Went down there and had a huge win. Kids played. We couldn't. That was the best game we played in a long time. We played it mistake free. Kids played hard. Uh, our offense coordinator did a great job calling the game. Just very excited about that game. Then we went to Warren. Wasn't a very good matchup for us. Didn't match up real well with Warren. They're a great team, great coach. Uh, and but it was a good experience to go down there. Strength of our team this year, I feel like our offensive line. We returned Carter Couch. He has started 35 straight games for us. Moved him up as a ninth grader. I don't even know if he's had a bad snap in those 35 games, but he'll have to play both ways this year. He kind of spotted in on defense last year, but he'll have to play both ways. We return Elijah Converse at tackle. He's 6'4", 290. He started every game as a sophomore, and we return Evan Thompson at guard. He's a two-way player, very very athletic, very strong. We return Isaac Molina. He played some. He had played center. He's played guard. So we've turned 4 of the 5, and we've got a senior stepping in, Mikey Johnson. He'll fill in a tackle role. He's 6'4", 250. So we're really excited about our offensive line. And like I said, return our quarterback, Spencer James. He's played a lot of football. He started some as a ninth grader, moved him up. Last year he started 3 games and 4 games, and he was injured. So we're really excited about Spencer. He just got back from the Peyton Manning passing academy. So really, really excited about Spencer.
Well, let's get into this too. Let's go hit this non-conference. I mean, you load up Salem's, who's number one, 3A defending state champions. Y'all lost to them, in the last second. You got Greene County Tech and Brooklyn. Pretty tough non-conference schedule, kind of local there, but y'all have traditionally done that. Talk to us about this non-conference schedule and how it's
Well,
getting prepared for your conference.
well, here's how smart I am. Our benefit game's with Rivercrest.
There
So
you go.
we're going to start out with Rivercrest. I think they're ranked number 2. So we're going to play Rivercrest. Salem returns everybody. They return about the whole roster. So they should be number 1 in 3A to come out. We've played them in team camp. They're loaded, very good. 2 of the best defensive ends, probably in 3A and 4A. Very very athletic. And then Greene County Tech, they're almost 6A, big roster, very very big, very physical. And then Brooklyn's beat us the last 2 years in a row. They've got our number, so we're hoping we can kind of improve on the non-conference. But it'll be a good test to get us ready for the conference season. A very good test.
Well, no doubt. Then you're talking about your league, the 3-4A. Boy, what a lot of changes. Coaching
Got
change.
five new head coaches.
5 new head coaches. I mean, you got the
So we're
guys like
scrambling. We're scrambling and trying to film on all of them because they weren't. These guys, they're from another school.
Yeah.
Wasn't promoted. So we're scrambling everywhere trying to find film on what these guys do. So yeah,
Well,
the conference is wild.
It is. I mean, you got Rod Stinson there at Blythe. Rod, great coach there at Pine Bluff for a long time. Been over at Marion. Tommy Cody's been everywhere. Has been successful.
We played him in the playoffs at DeWitt 2 years ago.
Yeah,
in a big game.
So you got a lot of new coaches, new faces, but then you got your same old people. You got Batesville Southside, Coach Simpson. Them should
Yes.
return some guys, and Highlands always got a good football team. You guys and in that mix, and your league actually did pretty good last year. So talk to us where y'all fall in this 3-4A. I mean, I think it's going to be week to week, and you don't know because of the new coaching changes, new programs, and where everybody's going to be at that certain time.
When I know junior high don't matter, but when these guys were in junior high, Gosnell dominated the league.
Yeah.
These ninth graders were seniors. Great coach coming in from Bartlett. He's come back. He's come back home. They're very athletic in track. Got speed. They're all back. Gosnell may be the favorite to win the league. I don't in the poll they had. I think they were fourth, but Gosnell's going to be tough. And then Southside semifinalist, Highland's always good. They have a really strong junior class. They won a playoff game last year against Ashdown, and then played Malvern. Blyville, very athletic, like you said, Coach Stinson. He'll get them going. They'll be, and Blyville's tough anytime you play them. You know, they're very physical, very fast. Truman's doing some different stuff with Coach Snyder that they're going to be improved. So it's the conference. There's no easy game. It's every week's going to be tough every week.
No doubt. Let's look at overall statewide a little bit. I mean, you know, y'all are ranked 16th. You'll be in the mix, and in that part of it, you're sitting there. You know, Dardanelle, Hootens has preseason #1 with Creed Vega. What a great quarterback. And Arkadelphia sitting there, Little Rock Mills, and you know, I tell you, a team nobody's talking about is Elkins, and they were just there,
Mhm.
you know, in the state finals last year, and there's just a lot of Warren. Lord, we didn't bring up Uncle Bo and Warren. Talk to us a little bit about where the Redskins fit in that part of it, and you know, getting in the playoffs. And I mean, it's
You
a
talk, you talk,
four A's tough classification.
you talk about the Dardanelle. I'm a big track guy. I like track. I think the quarterback's a shot putter. I'm not sure we can tackle that guy if he gets to running, because he's fast too and he's big. Everybody says Dardanelle's the team to beat, and I believe it. I know they got a great coach, do some great things, but they got really good athletes. Warren, we saw Warren last year, and I know what they got coming back. And Coach Hembry, you know, he does great job. We've not seen Elkins, but I know they're athletic. State track meet, Little Rock Mills, really fast, and I watched them in the playoffs against Warren. And then Mills returns a lot of players. Coach Lee does a great job at Mills. So I'm just hoping we can get into the playoffs. I hope we can get out of our conference and play one of those teams, because it's gonna be tough to get out of our conference. And then, like we always talk about, if you win 4A, you've done something.
Yeah.
There's no every round's tough. There's lots of good teams, and it's pretty even. So
Well, it is, and there's a lot of games, and it's like Coach Shooker we had on, and he was talking about, you know, they went all the way to the state finals, won it last year, and you know, 3 days later they're on Christmas break, and you start that thing in August, and who wants to practice and who still wants to get better during that time of year is usually the ones that go. But let's get back to a little bit about your team and you know, scheme wise, we're not, you know, getting into all that, but
we're really excited. I didn't mention our running back. Really excited about our running back, Xavier Ballard. He had some big games last year. He was a sophomore last year starter. He had some 100-yard games. Got two really good receivers in Brendan Arnold and Mason Priest. They're both returning starters. They'll be seniors. Brendan moved in last year from Tennessee. Very got great hands, very fast. So we're excited about our offense. We're multiple. You know, we hope. I say multiple. We ran our quarterback 50 times against Nashville, so that's not multiple. But we plan to be multiple. We worked on throwing the ball all spring and all summer, so we hope to be more balanced than we were last year. Running your quarterback 50 times is not really balanced, but we hope to get back to being balanced.
you got to do what you got to do to win games. Talk to us a little bit about your defense.
Well, return Ryder Baltz. He was a super sophomore linebacker. He makes all the calls. He started every game. He'll be joined by Isaac Molina, another junior. Isaac's he'll play guard and linebacker. He actually moved up as a ninth grader and played linebacker for us about 3 games due to injury. So he's got a lot of experience. Outside linebackers, Xavier Ballard will play outside backer, the running back. Timber Westmoreland. Timber had to come in against Nashville in the playoffs and play inside backer due to injury. He played great in that game. We're excited about him. Up front, we got Carter Couch, Evan Thompson. A lot of these guys are saying both ways, but that's Pocahontas got to play a lot of them both ways. Mason Burgess has had a good summer, good spring. He'll play defensive line, and then Arnold will play safety. Austin George he's an all-conference outside backer. He's going to move to safety. He can play back there, and then Priest is a returning starter, and we're really excited. We got a guy that came out last year. His name's Matthias Duran. He's a really smart kid, 4.0. He's going to play corner. He runs about a 55 quarter. So we're excited he's come out to help us. So we'll be a 4-4. We'll base out of a 4-4, but we will play some 3-4, depending on who we're playing.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, Coach, I'll get you off here. I mean, good luck to you this season. I mean, it looks like, your conference is like it always is. Especially this year, there's a lot of unknown, but I think from top to bottom, the league's going to be really good. Then overall in the state, you guys will be in the mix, and it's 1 week at a time. Scrimmage in Rivercrest with my man Buddha Harris over there. He's a really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They need to let us play 12, so we can put 2 on him. Just to make it fair. Just try to give us a chance to stop him.
Exactly. Well, we'll get you off here. You're going to have a lot of top 10 games a week, obviously, with your non-conference schedule, especially early on. Good luck to you, and we'll see you down the road, and we'll be checking your work.
Well, thanks for having me on. Thank you.
See you, Casey.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you can see Coach Chester knows this league's going to be really tough, and that part of it, I'm with Thomas a little bit. They look, Southside lost some people a little bit. I think this league is maybe not as tough as it was, but a lot of new looks. I mean, with the new coaches and unexpected things. So, Gosnell's one. Coach Chester brought up, they've been really good in junior high. Feels like they got a chance. So that 3-4A, a new look and a lot of new faces, but could be the same results. All right, here we go. Before we get started, we're going this 4-4A with Dardanelle. It's kind of like we talked about the last show about Salem. Is it Dardanelle? And before we get into this and before we talk about it, let's go ahead and bring on the number 1 team in the state in 4A, head coach, Coach Phil Vega.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome.
Well, it's great. Well, let's just cut the chase, man. You've got the bullseye on you. I get my Hootens buck, and here we are, Dardanelle Sand Lizards, preseason number 1 in 4A, one of the toughest classifications in the state. Talk to us a little bit. I mean, the expectations there. I mean, you've got 8 guys back on offense, 7 back on defense. A team that went, played the defending state champions, Arkadelphia, to 1 touchdown last year. And it all starts with that quarterback, 6'2", 220-pound, a quarterback that just committed to Air Force, and Creed Vega, who you know real well, and he's got other great players around him. Talk to us a little bit about your team offensively. Y'all ought to be very, very explosive. Then you look at your stats last year defensively, you already shut everybody down in your conference.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what in the world Barry Grooms and those guys were thinking putting us number 1, especially when you have Arkadelphia, who just won a state championship and return a bunch of really good football players, and they're very well coached. Coach Shucker does a great job down there. And then, heck, you got Elkins, who also played for it, was 14-1 last year. And, they kicked our teeth in last year, week 1. And, but they put that big target on our backs, and, it's hats off to our kids for, I guess making it happen. We really had a good season last year, and, but we haven't done a single thing this year. And, from a coach's standpoint, that goes a long ways. But no, we do feel like we'll have a good football team this year. We lost 3 big pieces on offense at both tackles and a center, and so we're having to replace those guys. And we feel like we've got some guys to fill in there and will help us out, but in the Class 4A, man, like you said, it's a very, very competitive conference, or anyway, it's very competitive. And so we are blessed, and, whatever, and however you want to say it, as far as getting the opportunity to be in it and be a part of it and be ranked as high as we are. And, we just had our senior retreat last night, and we talked, that was a big topic, was talking about, the bullseye on our back and playing Elkins here and so forth, and then turn around and get Nashville too. And then, you go right into our conference, and, which we feel like the 4-4A is a very blue collar style of conference. smash mouth football every single week. You know, you've got Mina, who's really good up front, and Clinton, who's really good up front. Pottsville, who's always very physical. Ozark, who's very going to, you know, be very physical. I think they'll be a lot better this year. And then, of course, Lamar is very physical, you know, and smash mouth football. And then turn around and, you know, even Waldron and Dover, man, they're huge up front. And, you know, it's just smash mouth every single week. And, you know, it's not the spread pretty offenses that you normally see throughout the state. But, man, you know, you got to pack your lunch each week. And, you know, so we do feel like it's a very good brand of football in the 4-4A.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Let's go back to that non-conference a little bit. I tell you what I have seen over the last couple of years is, and I appreciate it, is good teams playing good teams in non-conference. I mean, you talked about it. I mean, you've got Elkins, and you know, start off Little Rock Hall, and you got Elkins, and you know, Nashville's a traditional power. Talk to me about planning that schedule out a little bit.
Well, you know, we felt like coming out of the 5A West, we felt like we had a good football team. You know, it didn't go as favorable as we would have liked as far as win and loss column, but, you know, felt like we had a good football team. And, you know, to prepare us for the playoffs, we felt like we needed to play some good competition. And Elkins is an outstanding football team. Nashville's an outstanding football team. Both of them are very well coached. And those are the type of teams that if you plan to be successful as a program, you've got to be able to beat later on down the road. And so, you know, I decided just, you know, hey, let's play them right out of the gate and, you know, see where we're at early, see what we need to work on. You know, good football teams exploit your weaknesses and so forth. So, you know, that we felt like last year that went a long ways after taking that butt whipping at Elkins, and, you know, we're able to regroup and go down to Nashville and get a win and, you know, go right into conference, and ended up having a, you know, really successful season in conference last year, going undefeated. And then, you know, we felt like that's what prepared us for the playoffs, is by playing those good football teams early.
Well, I'm sitting there going through it, and I see Kirsch, and I see Vega. I feel like I'm back at Arkansas Tech in the early 2000s somewhere. But talk to me a little bit about your guys, especially, you know, Creed and those guys, and you know, the numbers he put up, and he's put on weight this year. He's 6'2", 220. My God, I don't want to tackle the guy. Talk to us a little bit about Creed and his development.
Okay, we feel like that skill wise in Class 4A, man, we've got as good as anybody in the state in Class 4A. You know, and it does start with Creed. He's kind of the bell cow for our offense. He's definitely the leader on the football field. Plays quarterback, dual threat quarterback, ended up, you know, having 50 touchdowns last year as a junior, and really led the team. And that's, you know, that's his best attribute, is his leadership, man. I feel like the kids really feed off of his emotion that he plays with. And, you know, he is one of the first ones after a touchdown or whatever, you know, patting those linemen on the back. And I think that goes a long way with this bunch. And, you know, and we do have some other really good pieces to go with him at the skill position. We got Rod Chatton, who's a 6'4", 6'5" receiver, 200 pounds, runs good routes, catches the ball really well, you know. And then on the other side of him, we have 6'3" Bo Miller, who we feel like has had an outstanding spring and had a good season for us last year, was an all-conference player for us last year. We think he'll be a breakout player for us this year. You know, and then we have some slot receivers that we feel like are really good, Javarius West, Jordan Ernest. And, you know, so we feel like we have some good pieces at the skill position. Our tailback, who's also a senior this year, Ian Branson, did a really good job for us. We're moving up another Javon Chatton, who'll be a sophomore, who was an outstanding running back for us as a ninth grader last year in junior high. We've seen some really good things out of him this summer at team camp. So, you know, we're really excited about the skill position. But, you know, as well as I do, man, the trenches is where it's at. And you know, we do feel like we've replaced those guys, those seniors, and, you know, we got some pieces to fill in there. But we are very thin up front. And, you know, that's those guys have got, like I said earlier, they got to pack their lunch each and every week and, you know, play through bumps and bruises and getting banged up, you know, every single play. And so we feel like that, you know, our success is based off of how well that, you know, they withstand a beating each and every week.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And defensively, you know, y'all really did an outstanding job, especially in the conference going through it. And nowadays you got to score points. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean,
absolutely.
You can have the 85 Bears out there, but somebody's going to figure out how to score. Talk to us a little bit about defensively and how key to for you guys to get to War Memorial Stadium?
Yeah. Defensively, man, we lose both our inside linebackers, which were two really good players. One of them just had an outstanding season last year as a senior. The other one had been a really solid player for us. And then we lose those two guys, and then a strong safety, or and that defensive end, Latravius Robinson. And anyhow, so we lost four guys on the defense, and we do feel like we've gotten them replaced. We replace them with some young guys, but man, those young guys are hard nosed and will get after it. And but we do have, they're surrounded by, we feel like, veteran players up front and behind them. We return all our secondary and D line, 3 of the 4. So we do feel like, we kind of hang our hat on the defensive side of the ball. I've been a defensive coordinator here for 17 years. And, I did turn it over a few years ago to Jackson Garrett, and he's calling our defense and does an outstanding job for us. And he played ball at Ouachita Baptist there for Coach Knight. And, man, he does a really good job. And so our defense we hang our hats on our defense. And, we played really well all season long. And then, ended up getting into the playoffs and felt like we had a really good Prairie Grove team come in here. And, I mean, we just stoned them and really felt good going into that Arkadelphia game in the quarters. And anyhow, I got behind early real quick. And anyhow, I was able to defensively, man, I'm telling you, we played outstanding outside that first quarter where it was 21-0. I felt like defensively, we did an outstanding job, ended up holding them to 13 points the rest, the last 3 quarters. And anyhow, we just couldn't get over the hump that game. But defensively, we've definitely got some playmakers there as well. And looking forward to a big season there on that side of the ball too.
Well, the excitement's going to be there in Dardanelle. I mean, they love the football there, and y'all have had a rich tradition over the years. What's it going to take? And obviously staying healthy and not turning it over and all those things. But what's it going to take? Y'all got a little taste of it. I mean, last year and where you need to go. What's it going to take to get to War Memorial Stadium?
I honestly believe it. I mean, it kind of up front on both sides of the ball. I mean, we, like I said earlier, we are very thin. We're thin. We have really good quality players at those positions when, offensive side, defensive side, but we also are playing, a lot of those guys are playing both ways. In the big games, we'll probably have 8 guys going both ways, which isn't anything new at Dardanelle, but that's just the way it is. And, that's why we do a little extra conditioning and extra stuff, throughout the weeks to try to prepare us for that, especially the longevity of the season. But, I really believe that up front is going to be the key piece for us being successful and making a deep run into the playoffs.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's great teams sitting there looking, there's a lot of great quarterbacks.
Oh, I mean, you got Warren, Elkins, Mills, Nashville. I mean, I can go on and on. That's why I said earlier, I don't know what Barry Grooms was thinking, but man, there's a bunch of good football teams in the state of Arkansas right now in Class 4A.
And there is. But somebody's got to start off number one, and that's just the way it is. And
that's right.
And the key is being there in December, holding up that trophy. And you guys, I know, are going to be in the mix. Coach, I appreciate you coming on. Good luck to you, and we'll be talking to you this season, checking your work.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Well, you can see Coach Vega, Creed Vega. I'm rolling to you, Thomas, because you guys put it on them. Talk to us a little bit about this league. Is it Dardanelle, Ozark with a new coach? You got Clinton. Coach DeFrame does an outstanding job.
I think Clinton may be another one to sneak up on everybody. I think Clinton could be in the mix here, and they match up well with Dardanelle. I was there at that game last year, and it was close early on, and Dardanelle pulled away. But if there's anybody that can beat them in this league, it's Clinton. Mina can pass the ball. Coach Bentley does a great job. Ozark, new coach, same tradition as Ozark. So if they get some new life in them, like the old days, I feel like they can make a run. But look for Clinton this year to have a good season. I think they're the dark horse. Well, and Coach DeFrame does excellent job. Daryl, what's your thought on this 4-4?
Well, I think you got Dardanelle. Once again, you got a guy that's what we got here? We got 3,928 yards of total offense by one dude. All right. Once again, the guy had accounted for 47 touchdowns. And you look at Dardanelle, and you got 3 return starters, the Chatton kids back out at wide receiver, offensive line, all-state Pagan Davis is back. He anchors that side. They've got 4 offensive linemen back. And defensively, they got somebody at, all 3 areas that are phenomenal too. So, and once again, I think they, are they ready for the next step? They won 10 games last year. And once again, everybody knows what you're doing. I mean, that you got a dude back there, and can you stop that guy? The amazing thing about him is that that scheme is just built around that dude, and once again, you get that guy to the second level anyway. And he's got weapons on the outside. Clinton, you got 9 starters back on offense. So you've got a chance there. You got 4 returning starters up front on the offensive line. Can you avoid the explosive plays that you're going to see at Dardanelle? That would be the biggest question. Can your secondary hold up against those guys that, because, I mean, what do? You can't spy the guy because you don't have anybody that can spy him.
Well, at Clinton, they got no D linemen back from last year. So that's
right. They have no starters back. Yeah. It's probably going to be a little undersized there. Maybe they can get after him that way, but that's a hard matchup there.
You almost got to force him to throw.
Yeah.
I think that Mina's going to give him a good game.
Well,
because
Mina
Thomas
is
Thomas touched on that. I think you're right on that. I think Mina's the one that probably can give them some trouble. To tell you the truth, I mean, they've got a chance. They got the quarterback back, and I think they've got a chance to do some stuff in there besides Clinton. But I still think Dardanelle's head and shoulders above.
Mouth Dardanelle, you've seen Creed Vega. You've visited with him.
Wow. What a phenomenal football player. What an athlete. He had a hand in all but 3 of their touchdowns they scored last year. That's pretty incredible. Okay, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say you don't find many that can do that. And last year in the state semifinal game against Arkadelphia, he's got a bad ankle or was injured, couldn't hardly go, but he was right there the whole game. The greatest semifinal game I think I've ever seen was, and all these teams in their league, in this league here, to have a chance to beat Dardanelle, you got to figure out a way to. I don't know that you can stop Creed Vega. I think you can only hope to contain him. I hope that.
Yeah, go ahead. But Coach Vega's got something. He knows they're going to be good because have you seen their schedule?
Oh yes.
I mean, they're going. Yeah, they got Elkins at home. They're going to go to Nashville and play, or they actually got Nashville at home. So he's loaded up a little bit there early on too.
No,
he wants to see what the Sand Lizards are made of early.
No doubt. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and move over to the 7-4A, and let's go ahead and let's bring on Arkadelphia, defending state champions. Let's go ahead and bring on Coach Sugar and see what he has to say about his team this year.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure to be able to get on your show.
Well, Coach, let's talk about you. You've gone through this past off season. You've gone through it. You've had your parades. You've had your ring ceremonies, all the awards. Got back to off season. You're pretty much through the summer. Tell me what the vibe is there in Arkadelphia. Business as usual, or more confidence? Where are we at right now?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, really. Obviously, a little bit more confident just because of, the kids that we bring back have already been there and done that. And, but they're excited. They know that we bring back quite a bit off of last year's team, and they're excited for another good season. We put in a lot of good work. One of the biggest things that I've talked to them about all off season is not having a entitlement mentality, and they've not done that. I think our group has had a really good off season. Is having a really good summer, and they're just showing up and coming to work, and they know that we can have another really good team. And that's the mentality that we've taken into it, and they've done a really good job.
Well, here we go. Let's get to it. You're defending state champs. I'm sitting here looking. You got 7 starters back on offense, 7 starters back on defense. You got 12 all conference players back, and two all state guys back. And you're ranked number 2. And going into it, Hootens has got you number 2 in their book. Talk to me. I mean, that's kind of a good thing sometimes, but you're still going to get the target on your back. Talk to us a little bit. you're preseason number one in one of the toughest divisions in conference in the 7-4A. Also, your coaches polls got you picked number one. Let's hit your conference first, and then we'll come back to your non-conferences.
Okay.
Man, your league is unbelievable. I mean, Johnny Fogelman over there at Malvern had a great year last year. Nashville with the new coach. Bauxite's been in there. Fountain Lake, Ashdown, those guys. Talk to us a little bit about your league and where y'all fit. Obviously, you're preseason number one in that league, but
Yeah.
talk to us about the difficulty, with a lot of great football teams in your conference.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough conference. Every Friday night, you've got to really bring it. It's just one of those things where it's an exciting conference to be a part of. It's just fun football. I mean, you come down here in our conference and any Friday night, wherever you're at any stadium, it's going to be packed out. It's going to have a great environment, and it's going to be good football. And it's just an exciting conference to be a part of. And a lot of really good coaches, just like you mentioned, a lot of really good teams, and it's tough. It's kind of one of those things that our conference historically has had a lot of success in the postseason, and a lot of that is due to what our conference is like during the regular season, during the conference season. And our teams go into the postseason really prepared, and they've already seen some really good competition. And once they get to postseason, not that it gets easier, but they've already been there and seen some tough competition, so they know what to expect.
Well, and then let's go back to your non-conference and you've done a great job with this. And obviously, y'all loaded up. I mean, you're playing, a Camden Fairview team. They'll be in the mix in 5A. Very improved Hot Springs team. I've seen them in 7-on-7 this year. Got some great skill guys. And then a big bull in Lake Hamilton. Talk to us a little bit, setting those 3 games up, how that helped you last year and prepared you for the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. That's something that we've done around here for a long time is schedule up in classification for our non-conference. My philosophy on that is we want to see really good competition early, because we need to be ready and prepared for our conference. We just got done talking about how tough our conference is and the good teams in there. We've got to get things straightened out early, and when you go against good competition, it exposes your weaknesses a little bit better than it does, if the competition's not as comparable. And so, we've got 3 good teams that we play against. It just prepares us for the rest of the season. And, I think it really showed late in the year, last year in our postseason, that, how prepared we were with what the type of competition that we played earlier in the year.
I agree with you 100%. Let's get into your football team. Braxton McCoy, former coaches of the Mouth Player of the Week, does everything. And then your defense also, your defensive line last year, you got a lot of back, just unbelievable. And y'all always play a great defense. Talk to us a little bit about both sides of the ball for the Badgers.
Yeah, Bryson McCoy he's a kid that had a phenomenal year last year. Last year was a sophomore for us. Threw 46 touchdowns. There's not a lot of people talking about him right now. I don't understand how that's happening, but yeah, no, he's had a great offseason. He's stronger, he's faster, he's more mobile than he was last year as a sophomore, just confident. When he does what he did last year, you got to come into the next season pretty confident. And he's doing really, really good. He's almost like having a senior on the field right now, and he's only going to be a junior. So it's impressive. Up front on the offensive side, I think we're going to actually be heavier up front, heavier and stronger. And so we're really excited about having that. And then the skill position, we graduated some really good skill players off of last year's team. But like I've said, we've had a really good offseason. We had some really good young players last year that were backups and through JV and just kind of getting in at the late in the games. We're able to develop some experience and confidence, and they've been able to progress into that this offseason. And that now they know it's their job to step up and take those roles, and they've done a really good job with that. Defensively, we bring back a lot of really good key pieces. You talked about our defensive line. Last year we were able to rotate about 6 defensive line into the game, and it kind of kept our guys fresh. This year I don't know if it's going to look like that, but we bring back 3 out of that mix. And then we've been able to develop some younger guys, some other guys that were able to be backups last year as well. So I don't know how many we're going to be able to rotate through and keep fresh like that. It might look a little bit different than last year, but we still have our 2 defensive ends from last year, Skylar McClure and Xavier Williams. Those 2 are tough in the pass game. They're pass rush. I mean, they're athletic, they're long, they know how to get off blocks, and they really put some pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and we saw that in the state championship game last year. And those 2 guys are back. And then we've got some really good interior guys that we're developing. At the linebacker spot, we bring back our starting middle linebacker, Malachi Hamilton, and then one of our starting outside linebackers, Quintavion Morris. Both of those two led us in tackles last year. Both of them had over 100 tackles on the season. And so having those 2 back for their senior year, we're really excited about what those 2 have moving into this season, coming off of last season.
Keep going.
I was going to just say that our other linebacker position, we're rotating a few guys at that we're developing last year, and we feel good about the position overall, and we feel like we got multiple guys that we can rotate in at the linebacker position. So we're feeling good about that.
Well, good. Anytime you win a state championship, people start coming after your coaches. You lost Bobby Evans, great D-line coach. Talk to us a little bit about your changes on staff, of how many you had, and what's that look like?
Yeah, Bobby had an opportunity to go to Hot Springs Lakeside, and he took it, and we're excited for him and wish him the best. And on the high school staff, that's the only one that changed for us. We still have our defensive coordinator, Chris Kaiser, phenomenal coach. Always has our defense prepared and ready to go. And we take pride in having a really good defense around here, and it starts with him. We've got Ben Chandler, our linebackers coach, back. He's been here since, I believe, 2014 or 15. So he's been here for a long time. And, he does a phenomenal job with getting our linebackers in position and ready to play every Friday night. And he's also our special teams coordinator. So he's the guy that puts our special teams packages together. And, at the 4A level, I think that's a beneficial aspect to have a coach that takes special teams serious, and takes ownership in that and has them ready. And he does a phenomenal job in that.
Well, he showed his work in the state championship game with all that weather, and y'all line up field goal formation, and
that's exactly right.
Down there, man.
He made that call, and I was all for it. We went in there at halftime, and I was like, "We got to find something." He goes, "I got an idea." And I'm like, "All right, let's hear it." He talked to me about it. I'm like, "You know what? Let's go with it." And it ended up working out. But yeah, he's one of those guys that he's always got an idea, and a lot of times it's right. So it's good. Well, and then we were able to hire a younger coach, Jamerick Waller. He's a former OBU football player, played D-line at OBU, and was highly recommended by their staff. And he's done a phenomenal job with coming in, getting our guys motivated, kind of just learning our culture and stepping right up to it. And, we're excited about him just bringing some younger energy, and our kids have really responded well to him. He's going to be a great coach for us on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, really cool. Let's get overall state-wise. I mean, that's what we're all playing for. It's all we all want to be in War Memorial in December. 4A looks stacked. I mean, you sit there, you got, Darnell sitting there at the top in preseason #1. You got Mills, you got Warren, you got Elkins, team y'all beat in the state finals. Batesville South. So you got all these teams. Talk to us, obviously your guys are going to be in the mix right there at the end as long as you stay healthy. Talk to us what it's going to take to get back and how hard it is to get back to War Memorial, because you've done it before.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to what I talked about last year. 4A is one of those classifications that there's so many teams and there's so many good teams that things have to line up well for you. I mean, things have to go your way a little bit. With so many teams and you play for so long, you got to stay healthy. You've got to have a team that takes care of their bodies, and obviously as coaches, we've got to do that and set that up for them. But they've also got to do the right thing when they're away from here with their recovery. So we're harping on that. Getting sleep, all the nutrition, everything else. Rest, taking care of their bodies when they're away from here, especially deep in the playoffs. And then also you've got to have a team that wants to play that long. Like I said, state championship game last year was December 14th. That's pretty much the Christmas break for us. After we got done with that game, the next day was Sunday. Our school, we had school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we were on Christmas break. And so we played all the way to Christmas break last year. And that's a long time for a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. And
it's like me and you've talked about before.
Yeah.
The teams that still want to be practicing that time of year and get better are the ones that keep moving on.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. You've got to want to be there, because if you're not on your A game on a Friday night because, the team didn't want to practice on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then you're not going to be moving to the next week. And so that's a big part of it. Then obviously you've got to have a decent matchup in the playoffs. So there's a lot of things that go into, making it to a state championship game. And then obviously winning one is another story also. So there's a lot that goes into it. Our mentality around here, one of the things I've tried to focus on is let's just be the best that we can be, and everything else will take care of itself.
Exactly. Well, Coach, I'll get you off here. Obviously, looking at your non-conference, you're going to have a couple top 10 games of the week early on, especially that Fairview matchup right out of the chute, man. That's going to be a great battle. Well, we'll get you off here, man. I appreciate you coming on. We'll be checking your work and see you on down the road.
All right. Sounds great. Always good to talk to you, and thank you for having me on.
They're loaded again. And Daryl, I'm going to come to you first on this one. And we really need to talk about Malvern a little bit. Malvern's quarterback's not there anymore. Coach Fogelman always, is a great coach. Didn't know if they were going to be very good the last year, and they just went 9-1 in the regular season. So he's always going to be there. Nashville with the new coach, Boxside, Ashdown, Fountain Lake, Harmony Grove, Haskell, and Genoa Central. But you're looking Arkadelphia. Daryl, they know how to get there and they know how to win, and I'm going to get Thomas. What's your thought on this league? Malvern's in there. Nashville, disappointing year last year, got a new coach. Talk to us a little bit about this league.
Well, I think, like I said, Arkadelphia, the entire year last year, they were just dominant, and they're 7 starters back on each side of the football. And you have Bryson McCoy's back, which was unbelievable. He started 15 games as a sophomore last year, completed 66% of his passes, for God's sakes. I'm sure there were some drops thrown in there for him. He had over 3,100 yards, 46 touchdowns. He threw for 240 and 4 touchdowns, and against Boxside midseason. I just think that they're traditionally, that's what they are. They're a tradition at Arkadelphia. No matter if they got off to a slow start, and it's how you finish there. And like I said, that's just Coach Shucker is 49-13. Right? They know how to win there. Even when Coach Eldridge was there, they've always won, and they've done it multiple ways. So, their playoff record's 50-30, and they won 13 games in a state title in the end. You think, hell, I'm sure the parade wasn't very long because, hey, we got to do it next year. And that's kind of how Arkadelphia rolls now. It's becoming a place where titles are there. Malvern, they're going to challenge them. Just offensively, defense coach Fogelman, that guy, he can do more with less than anybody. He's a phenomenal football coach, and Nashville, tradition there. Golly, guys, they've been through coaches that have won 10 games.
80% winning percentage is not good enough to keep the job.
Yes, it's a scary, scary thing. Yeah, I mean, you're coaching for your life every day. I mean, we're even bringing back Nashville Scrappers. We gotta get those guys back in there. But that's something that you gotta give your hats off to Coach Cheshire for coming in there because he knows about it. I mean, he knows he's been there, he's been through it. He knows what expectations are. And what a league. I mean, you talking about Bauxite being picked fourth in that league. I think, tradition there in that league is really, really tough. But I think it all starts and ends with Arkadelphia.
So the playoffs used to be the 7-4A Invitational. It's just they invite Harding every now and then and whoever else, Elkins. But now I do think that, so looking at Arkadelphia last year, look at the first 3 games of a sophomore quarterback. McCoy's first 3 games are Camden Fairview, Hot Springs, and Lake Hamilton. So 5A, 2 5As and a 6A team, going against bigger teams, bigger competition, that gets them ready for the playoffs. So they go 1-2 the first 3 games of the sophomore quarterback, and then just start rolling after that. I expect he'll build off that momentum, but I do think their schedule this year. They're hosting Camden Fairview. They're at Hot Springs and then at Lake Hamilton. That is, and then Nashville. They open with Nashville. Yeah. That is a tough 4 games, stretch.
Well, Mouth, Bryson McCoy, Coach Shucker, feels like he's getting, all these great quarterbacks in the state right now, and his name's not popping up, and he's defending state champion. Talk to us a little bit about Arkadelphia.
Let's give Bryson McCoy a shout out because he was Coaches in the Mouth Player of the Week last year for 1 week during the season, and I affectionately refer to him as the baby-faced assassin because there's no way he's got a face that looks like he's about 10 years old. He's not.
He is.
He's not. He's not shaven yet. And when I watched Arkadelphia last year and presented Bryson his award, I tell you what jumped out at me is Arkadelphia was dominant on defense, but when you saw their players, you said, I don't know how they're so dominant because they didn't have just gigantic guys on the front. Obviously they know how to play they've got really good football players on their defensive unit, and that defense wins championships when you get to the playoffs, and it helps when you've got a gunslinger like Bryson McCoy. He's going to keep throwing it no matter what. You may pick him off once, you may get him twice, but you're not going to get him. You're going to have to cut his neck. You're going to have to break his neck to slow him down.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. All right.
They don't miss tackles.
No, they don't.
Man, they don't miss tackles.
They
can tackle you in space. They can come off the edge with the Williams kid. I mean, they're really good defensively.
All right, let's
Kaiser over there.
Let's head over to the 8-4A to finish off this 4A part. Mouth, we're going to hit with you. Uncle Bo and the Warren Lumberjacks have dominated this conference for 20 years. I mean, Hamburg looks like they're loaded up. Monticello looks like they're loaded up. Stuttgart, Coach Price, his son, they got a good team over there also. This league, to me, and I'm going to go hit Mouth first, looks like this could be a lot more competitive than what it has been in the past couple of years. Mouth, Uncle Bo and the Warren Lumberjacks. Talk to me a little bit about this league. You've broken this down.
This is a fascinating league to me because you've got Kane Price at Stuttgart, quarterback, going into his 3rd year as a starter. So they're expecting big things from them. And, but to me, the league still starts and stops at Warren. Coach Embry does a great job, and his skilled people are outstanding, better than – I talked to Coach James from Conway yesterday, and he said Warren – will probably have the best skill people we play all year. That they defeated them for the
Sonic
Airwaves championship. Had to beat them twice, and it's amazing how Warren does it because they do it with limited numbers, and just your hat just goes off to to Coach Embry and his staff the job they're able to do at Warren.
Well, and Uncle Bo, and I'm gonna hit Thomas now. I mean, they've, I've talked to him, and then, it's, Hamburg, Monticello. Let's talk about Hamburg and Monticello a little bit, and rest of Stuttgart and the rest of the league here, Thomas. This 8-4A.
Hey, so I'm big on Nickel Lewis out of Hamburg, rushing for almost 2,000 yards. But Bo Embry, so Denton, his quarterback, gets hurt the first week in a real gruesome, leg break, the first week of the season. And so then they go on to lose to Elkins the next week, and then, he's weren't the same, and now, so you got a freshman quarterback. He comes in first game, the sophomore gets hurt. So now he's a junior. I expect big things out of him this year. If you look at this conference, 6 teams average more than 30 points a game. Yeah. And which is, it's crazy how offensively, like, they've been putting up points, so, I mean, and Warren was at the top of it with almost 40 points a game, but, they obviously have skill guys, but I think they're big up front. And essentially who'd they lose to in the Mills in overtime? They were right there. I mean, it was, they had the lead, and then I think
they had a
punt return,
26-7 lead.
Yeah. It was what?
26-7 lead. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, if you have your quarterback healthy that game, you probably go on to win that game, and then you're playing in the state championship. So I looked for Warren. Hamburg, I think, is the dark horse, though. I think the way they made a run last year, who they beat, Gravett, or who they beat in the I'm trying to think who they beat in a real big game up in North. It was Gravett. They beat them. Yeah, Gravett was having a great season last year. And they lose to Monticello. Monticello's back. They've got a lot of guys returning. I really like the Monticello and Hamburg.
I do too. Well, Daryl, let's hit this 4A overall in the state. I mean, Elkins, Mills, Dardanelle, Arkadelphia, Warren, Lone Oak, Southside. I mean, we talked 3A in the last show. This 4A, a lot of even. I mean, it's across the board, especially the top teams. What's your thought overall this 4A situation? Who do you possibly see?
Well, you look at the top 4 rated teams: Dardanelle, Arkadelphia, Mills, and Elkins all have their starting quarterbacks back, which is huge. And 2 of them depend on them a great deal to make plays for them. But like I said, I think this is one of those defensively. How you're going to match up with them. Like I said, Warren had the big lead over Mills, got beaten overtime in that playoff game, and actually got some people hurt in that. Remember, Antonio Jordan was taking snaps. Yeah. I mean, they had to just, I mean, Bo was doing a great job because they were just figuring it out on the fly, I think. But, in that conference, I think Monticello too is one that could kind of be the dark horse.
They have every lineman return.
I mean, they're returning 9 starters on offense, 5 on defense. I think they're, they can make some noise there. They're coming off a 9-win season, which, probably hasn't happened in a while since, for the Billies. But, Warren, you can never count them out. They're outside of they're ranked like 5 right now. But then you've got the unknowns like Southside Batesville, that's a matchup too that could happen there in the playoffs. But you're looking at the first 4, and I don't think that anybody's wrong by picking Dardanelle, Arkadelphia, Mills, and Elkins in your front 4.
Hey, but Dardanelle, they're going to be tested early with Elkins and Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, which is great because that sets up that conference season, and then of course the get back games in the playoffs can occur that way too. But you also got to think, with the new Nashville guy returning, and can they get the scrappers back? And they're going to do everything possible to get those guys back in the mix too. And Arkadelphia, everybody always kind of counts them out, and all of a sudden you look up and they've won 11 games and they're rolling. So this is one of those conferences too. I mean, this is statewide. You got some really, 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 really good football teams with a lot of return starters. So this is going to be a heck of a mix. But I think my early pick here, I think Arkadelphia is the team to beat.
I'm with you. Until somebody knocks him off, which can, and I think but I like Mills also. I just
Ooh, I like Mills
I
too.
like
Yeah.
Mills. I think they got the players in a one game setting to get it done. Mouth, your thoughts on this overall foray?
Oh, let's get to the playoffs. You know, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and start with the playoffs because there's good teams all over this 4A. You could, I mean, it's just fascinating. You got, I love, I love Mills. I love their athleticism. I love their quarterback, ninth grade, just went wild, over 3,000 yards. They've got athletes all over the place. Monticello has been a program that has been a steady improver every year, and I like that. They may be ready. Hamburg with the running back that rushed for 2,000 yards last year, you cannot pass up on them. It's going to be a fascinating year in 4A.
Thomas, your last thoughts here. Y'all got Dardanelle there one.
Yeah, can Darnell run the gauntlet?
Yeah.
You know, they haven't done it before. And Arkadelphia has, Mills, Elkins. I mean, so they've got a lot to prove, you know, but they're the team that you kind of root for. You know, they're not the traditional blue blood of football like these other teams. But this should be a really, really interesting class.
Oh, I think so. When it's all 4A is always fun. All right, let's jump over to 5A. And 5A was very interesting last year. You know, obviously the story was Little Rock Parkview, and you'd almost have to say it was Coach Tyson and Farmington Cardinals and them getting hot in the playoffs. This 5A deal here, and we'll start off with the 5A Central. Man, and I'm going to start with Mouth because you're familiar with this league. Joe T. Robinson looks like, you know, they're going to be hard to deal with, obviously. Maumelle. I think Searcy's a team you got to keep an eye on just in the fact of I think you got defensive lineman, Valley View in the east. And then, you know, the 5A South, which we'll talk about. Then 5A West is very interesting also. Mouth, let's start with you in that 5A Central. I mean, you're familiar, Joe T., and you've been out, and I've watched Searcy practice also a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about this 5A Central Conference.
This is a fascinating league to me as well. I'm just going to tell you, Coach Clark feels really good about his sophomore quarterback. He feels really good about his team because at one point last year they started 11 sophomores. They're grown up to be juniors. Maumelle's going to be really, really good again. And Joe T's Joe T. Whether without an Escola as head coach or whoever the coach is, they're loaded.
They are loaded. Let's hit with you, Thomas, a little bit more about this Central Conference. Let's talk about Joe T a little bit. Y'all have got them ranked second in 5A right now. A lot of people, you know, have got to cut the quarterback in, and you know, Scola. First time in probably 40, 50 years there's not an Escola as head coach and there.
He's still AD though.
Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah, so he's still around. It's probably hard on him watching the practices from the sidelines. But no, Robinson, I think, can win a state championship this year. I think they're the type of team. And Tyler Upgrove, Scola did not leave the cupboard bare. Yeah. I mean, this team is loaded, and you know, they're ready for a playoff run because I think they thought last year they lose to Lakeside. You know, there was a controversial call. I didn't know which way it went, but you know, they were upset about it. But I think, you know, if they beat Lakeside, they're playing Parkview in the state championship. And they've got a lot of the guys from that team. Maumelle's got a lot of guys returning. Searcy obviously going to be good. Always good in the passing game. But this Robinson team, I think you're going to see a lot from the first week against PA. I think this is a team they can beat. They can upset PA and get on a roll real quick.
Well, Daryl, I'm gonna get you. Pine Bluff's another one. We didn't even bring Pine Bluff. How you don't bring Pine Bluff up?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about this league.
Well, like I said, this league is set up really heavy at the top. I mean, you got Robinson. You forget about the Henry kid returning at Maumelle. Maupin's got some weapons there. Joe T, though, I mean, across the board, you look at it, you just go, wow, they've got 7 on offense returning, 6 on defense. A new coach, they've won a bunch of games there. They won 10 last year. So, I mean, they're pretty impressive. Defensively, they're back too. But, like I said, Maumelle, is right in the mix. Pine Bluff is Pine Bluff. I mean, I'm sure that, they didn't just everybody just leave at the same time. They're coming back too. Cersei, Zach, we got to do something this year, okay? Every time I pick the guy, all heck broke loose. So I'm trying not to pick him this year. Let Cersei fly underneath. But once again, they're really unique too. They're going to move some people around, and he does such a good job offensively with them, keeping them in games. They returned 6 on offense and 8 on defense. And like we were touching on earlier, they started a lot of young kids and played a lot of young kids. And he's done a really good job of moving his best player around. He doesn't really. I don't think he worries about what position. He just makes sure that that he uses those studs as much as he possibly can there at Cersei. So I think this league is one of those really, really tough. But I think Joe T is a little bit tougher than everybody else. I should say.
Well, let's do this. Let's bring on head coach from Cersei, Zach Clark, and see what he has to say about the league.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, let's get into it. Number one, you had a great year last year. To recap, you got in the playoffs and made a great run, really played well, really down the stretch in some big ball games. We're going to talk about your schedule a little bit, especially down the stretch a little bit later on. But let's get into it a little bit. Here you go. You got 6 guys back on offense, 8 back on defense. Hooten has you ranked number 11th overall in 5A. The coaches poll in Hootens has you guys picked to finish 4th in your conference, which is a very loaded conference. Your conference showed up well in the playoffs last year. Talk to us a little bit. Let's before you're known as an offensive guy, obviously, but I got to come over and watch spring practice this spring, and I tell you what really stood out was your defense. Let's talk a little bit about some of those defensive linemen, them linebackers you got.
Well, we've got 8 returning starters and 7 of them are juniors. So we were young on defense last year. We're really excited about those guys, especially feel like we've had some good team camps. Our box is it's probably the best that I've as a head coach that I've had. Now we're thin. We don't have much depth. And it'd be nice to. I think we've got some younger guys that could develop, but hopefully they won't be forced into action this year. But we've got two returning starters, and then we've got a sophomore defensive end that moved back, and we've got another interior guy that played. The other interior guy played pretty significantly last year. Our 2 linebackers they're both 4.6 or better. They can really, 2 inside guys can really run. So I expect, this will be on paper and throughout the summer, this will be the best, this will be the best defense that I've had returning as a head coach. We've got all 4 starters. We'll move our star from last year, kind of that nickel guy. We'll move him back to a safety spot. But, if you count him, we will return all four guys in the secondary. So, and 3 of them will be juniors. That guy I was just talking about, Isaiah Davis, is our lone senior on defense. So we're excited about it. We run really well. Bo Weddle's done a great job in the weight room. We're as physical as we've ever been. And, you're right. We're excited about our defense.
Well, it's obviously stood out, and you got some guys, and I know what emphasis you put on the weight room over the last, since you've been at Cersei, and it don't take long to go out there and watch practice, and it shows out pretty fast. Let's go on the other side of the ball. You got some linemen back, got 6 starters back, and you've been known as an offensive guru. You guys, you've always put up points wherever you've gone, and you feel pretty good about this bunch also.
I do. We're still figuring some things out on the offensive line. I think, if we can get that solidified, and I think we're close, then this bunch has a chance to be pretty explosive on offense. We've got, we moved a kid, probably our best football player that doesn't look like it. If you see him, I mean, he'll kick, he'll punt, he'll return punts. We're moving him from kind of a slot receiver, even hybrid tight end to tailback in Cooper Jones. And, we're excited about, he just kind of, jack of all trades, does everything for us. He'll be our tailback. We have 3 junior wide receivers that are our 3 fastest kids on the team. One of them got hurt in the in the Sonic Air Raid last year and was out the entire regular season, then came back in the playoffs and had 3 touchdowns against Morrilton. Just a really explosive player. And then, the other 2 were, they split time. They played the same position as sophomores. They had good sophomore seasons, but you could see just that experience from playing, their confidence. Those 3 receivers are our 3 fastest guys, and they're really explosive with the ball in their hands. And then, we've kind of got a thumper at tight end, and 2-year starter in Kobe White that we feel we feel confident about. I really like our team camp. We've got a sophomore quarterback, which is always a concern. However, this kid, he's got 2 older brothers that I coach one of them. The other, the oldest one was the middle linebacker on the state championship team in 2019. Just tough kids. He's a great competitor. If he wasn't our quarterback, he would play any other position on the field. And he just, he wants to compete. He's not intimidated by the older guys. I know we're going to have some, he's going to have some sophomore growing pains, but he is mature enough and confident enough. I'm not sure he's not, our leader on the team already as a sophomore. So, yeah, I mean, we're excited at some key spots. We don't have a lot of depth, but so that'd be my biggest concern. But there's a lot of optimism heading into this year.
Well, obviously, you look at your non-conference schedule, you're repeating it as last year. I mean, open up with Batesville, the rival that you guys,
Right.
Cersei and Batesville, go back for years. Then you're going to get defending 5A East champion semifinal team last year in Valley View. They lost some guys, but feel pretty good. Then you got to go to Harrison, which I thought that game last year's really turned your season around, coming from a big deficit and
Right.
winning. Talk to us a little about setting that up and how's that getting you ready for that your conference schedule coming up.
Well, it's we'll play 3 very well coached teams in non-conference, and we've seen. Valley View's kind of had their way with the East, and they're really talented. That's the first time that I saw them last year, and I was really impressed. Sean does a great job, and they've got athletically, they look like a central team, a team that we're going to have to see. There are a lot of long, lean guys. They run really well. So that, that's going to be a big test. Batesville has been, it's been a crazy game every year. It's one of those rivalry games that just crazy things seem to happen. And then Harrison is, they're extremely well coached. We lucked out last year in that, I say lucked out, I hate it for the kid, but they've got a guy with Power 5 offers that tore his ACL. He's back. He was a junior. He's their best player. And, they just kind of seem to, they find a way. I mean, Harrison from growing up, they're just a bunch of tough kids and we go there that, I know they're not playing on Crooked Creek anymore, but just crazy things seem to happen at Harrison. You got to go, you got to wind around. You feel like you're going to deliverance country, just to get there. And then you show up and it's a tough place to play.
It is.
So I like our non-conference schedule, but it's certainly tough.
Well, and then you get into your conference and, you're picked
Right.
4th or whatever that means. But, you start looking the later half of your season, the teams that are picked ahead of you. You got Pine Bluff, Joe T, and Maumelle. Then obviously another rival game there. Got to go to BB with a new coach. So,
Right.
talk to us a little bit about your conference. I mean, Parkview's getting the headlines. Farmington up here in the West is, Sean and those over guys at Valley View, Nettleton, some of those guys. And the Central Conference has been really Joe T for a long
Right.
time. Talk to us a little bit how competitive that league is.
Well, I think, first of all, I'll say this about 5A. This is my first experience in 5A. And Mark Watley actually said this. Good old Mark. But he's right. He's like, hey, you could line up and play the entire season immediately after you just played. And, Jeff, in 6, 7A, you pretty much know what's going to happen. And there's some upsets here and there, but not like there is in 5A. And there's just teams are so close. That threshold, I know Parkview's probably, they're above everybody else, or at least have been. But some of those games that ended up, winning and losing, then we matched up with the West last year in the playoffs. And I'm convinced you could throw them in a paper sack and mix it up, and 1 through 6 could have turned out, completely different. But yeah, going back to the 5A Central, you're right. Robinson has, those guys do a great job. I know Tyler's been around. That probably is going to be a seamless transition. Yeah. But they just do a really good job. They've got really good players, but they do a great job coaching them too. And, they've kind of been the class of the Central, and they're going to be extremely difficult to knock off. But I'm not sure. You go back last year, Pine Bluff might have had as good of a defense as I've seen last year. And that includes, when we were in 7A and the 6, they were loaded. And they all could run and tackle, and they were extremely good. Maumelle is extremely talented. They were really good, had some weapons on offense. It is a very, very difficult conference, and one that you have to play every week. Year 2 for Daryl Patton at Whitehall, I know he's confident. He likes his team. And then BB, that was the bunch that when I was here, when I first got here, I think that senior class was the first one that were 9th graders when I was here, and they were really good. They're the ones that graduated, and the current seniors are really good. They beat us both years, and so we know they're talented. We know that, and then it's a rivalry game. That really, the funny thing is we've always played them in junior high, but never. I want to say last year was the first meeting of BB and Cersei in high school football ever.
I don't ever remember them playing.
And which is crazy. It is a rivalry game. That again, last year was a typical rivalry, Week 10 rivalry game on Thursday night, which is a day, anything can happen. Yeah. And it did. It just seemed to. But it's a conference that you've got to play really well week in and week out. It's not like you can. It's not like you can circle a couple of games here and there and know you have to play. The other thing, just the way the schedule worked out, we're going to have to start really strong. We have 4 of our first 5 games at home, which means 4 of the last 5 are away, So anyway, hopefully we can start strong and get some momentum.
Well, let's look over statewide here. Parkview's dominated 5A. It's out there. They won 3 in a row. Brad leaves and goes to North Little Rock. Bobby takes over, which his resume speaks for itself. You got Farmington, you got Morrilton. You got a Valley View, Nettleton, in your guys in your league, and then look, Camden, Fairview. All those guys down in Hot Springs, Lakeside. Watching your team, I think you're physically ready. You're with them every day, and you know more than me.
Right.
Where do y'all fall at in the middle of that whole? melting pot? Is it Parkview? Everybody's chasing them, you think, or is it, this thing?
Well, I think until somebody knocks off Parkview, then yeah. I mean, you got to say Parkview's a little bit ahead of everybody else, but there's also some. I mean, I didn't see, and we were just matched up with the West, which we drew Morrilton, and I'll say that their skill guys and that quarterback is phenomenal, and that's going to be difficult. They've got a chance against anybody just because of how good those guys, and they can score the ball. I mean, you can't sack him. But watching, we saw every game that Morrilton played, so we saw everybody in the West. And Farmington looked good, and certainly they had a magical run. Hats off to them. But I'm not sure Morrilton, Greenbrier, even Harrison, who finished fourth in that league. It was wasn't Alma. Alma looked pretty good. Bologna. That's right. And then Bologna gets in there. Like it's. I mean, like Watley said, you throw them up in the air and they could fall completely different. But yeah, I think we've seen, in this kind of the central area, we see Bologna, we see Greenbrier, we see Morrilton in team camp and junior high. They're really good. So for Farmington to beat them, I mean, that's impressive. I think what I was surprised with and not accustomed to is seeing I saw Robinson played Lakeside in a non-conference game, and Robinson won early, pretty. It was a close ball game, but I thought Robinson was really the better team. And then Lakeside beats them in the playoffs. Yeah. Camden is the one team that has played Parkview really, really well. And I know, Nick, they do a good job. And then they go up to Farmington and get beat. So the fun and scary thing about 5A is that, I mean, anybody can kind of beat anybody. It's a lot of fun that you're never out of it, but you're never comfortable either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what will it take? I mean, barring injuries and depth, and everybody I get on here says the same stuff, but
right.
You know how to get to War Memorial. You've done it. I mean, you've done it when you're at Fayetteville. You know what it takes. What's it going to take the Searcy Lions to get there?
Well, I think more than anything, obviously a lot of luck. Obviously a lot. We got to have a good year and get confidence, but it's going to take some guys, I think, hitting a stride late in the year where they really care about each other. And I think it comes down to in the playoffs, who wants to stick around and keep playing? Yeah. Who loves it? Who really loves it and wants to go to practice the next week and practice when, hey, we could be home. We had a nice season. It's been good, but I could be home at the bell now. Who really and we hadn't done that in a while, and we need to. I think we've got some guys that really love football, but to go on a run and to do something that you hadn't done in a while, you got to have kids that really want to be out there and they really want to get after it. Come November and keep practicing.
Yeah, no doubt. We say it on this show all the time. Whoever wants to keep practicing and keep getting better. I mean, right. And you've been around it a long time. You'll go down there in Little Rock and going, how'd that team get here? Well, they wanted to keep practicing and get better. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. We're really looking forward to watching you guys play. Got to see you in the spring, and I think the Searcy Lions got some big things going on this year, and you'll be in a few top 10 games a week, and we will be checking your work. Well, you can see, he feels confidence, obviously, Joe T in this league. But I'm going to tell you, the thing about Searcy is everybody thinks Zach Clark, and they always talk about offense, and he's going to be able to score the ball. Look out for Searcy's defense this year. Their defensive linebackers is as good as they've been. All right, let's head over the 5A East. I'm going to start with you, Daryl. Valley View, Nettleton. You got a little Harding Academy in there. Wynn, Batesville, Brooklyn, Greene County Tech, Paragould. Let's get into this part. Valley View had a great run last year, get to the semifinals, lose a lot of guys. This league looks like it could be a little bit down than what it was last year, or or that part of it, but is it still Valley View's to lose?
It's a great point. Everybody's kind of leaning towards Nettleton.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth, they're the one that's being talked about a lot. Of course, Valley View, they only have 4 starters back on offense, 5 on defense. So they're going to be breaking on a lot of new people. But the Carter Wallace is back, so they can kind of lean on him at the running back position. Valley, in a 3-year run, they've won 9 games in 22, 10 in 23, and 12 last year.
Yeah.
So, are they ready for the next step, or was that class graduated that's going to hurt them in this league? They averaged almost 40 points last year, giving up about 16 in that league. I think it's Valley View's leaning that way. You got to watch out for Harding Academy too.
Coach.
They know a little bit about winning, which I think is kind of the hardest thing to coach if you don't have a bunch of kids that know how to win. They could make some noise too in this one, but this league I think is going to take a step back.
I do too.
Tell you the truth, I just think that there's too much rebuilding going on in that league right now. And like I said, the 5A is so tough. But everybody's talking about Nettleton, which is kind of weird.
It is.
Different.
All right, let's move on to the 5A South, which I think from top to bottom could be the toughest league in the whole deal. I mean, you got Little Rock Parkview, got, the news in the offseason, Brad Bolding leaving, going to North Little Rock. His brother, Bobby Bolding, taking over, who was defense coordinator, former head coach of Pine Bluff, Stuttgart, Mark Tree. Has won a few games himself and knows how to get to the finals.
220 and 78, by the way. 220.
Not bad.
Not bad. And so
Not a bad run there,
not
Bobby.
bad. You got Camden Fairview sitting there also, the Fighting Vaughns, Lakeside with a semifinal run last year with a lot of guys back. Magnolia, Coach Kirby's doing a great job over at Magnolia. Really like what he's doing. I saw Hot Springs this summer and 7-on-7. They're much improved. Arkansas High, new head coach Leroy Hood coming into that deal and hoping. And DeQueen, before we get into this 5A South, let's go ahead and bring on head coach from Arkansas High, Coach Leroy Hood. Well, you can see Coach Hood is very familiar with the league and knows how tough it is, getting a lot of players out. Let's start with you, Thomas. This league from top to bottom, Alvledge, Parkview, but the people below them could make a run also.
The last 2 years, like 2 years ago, Parkview was unbeatable. It was like they didn't even have to play well to win it. And then last year they had to play okay to win it. And this year they're going to have to play well because Camden Fairview is right there. The last 2 years, Coach Vaughn, very familiar with Parkview. I mean, they had them down in the fourth quarter last year, Camden Fairview. In the Parkview game. Look for Camden Fairview to make a run. And then you got Lakeside. Coach Rockwell has done a tremendous job. And then you got a quarterback back with Wally Walcott. Those 3 teams. And then, you got Hot Springs. But those 3 teams, Lakeside, Fairview, and Parkview, are, on another level. I think if Parkview is going to lose, it's going to be one of those 2 teams. And I think, Lakeside and Fairview have a chance to win a state championship this year.
Wow. Daryl, let's get in. Parkview, but Lakeside and them and Camden Fairview and Magnolia, Hot Springs, and Arkansas High, they ain't going nowhere either. So talk to us a little bit about this league.
Well, here's the thing about this league is they're all still chasing the Patriots.
Yeah.
The Patriots, they're not ducking anybody. Offensively, they got their quarterback back. Bobby, is a phenomenal defensive coach anyway. He's going to be able to get stops in there, and it's not like they graduated and lost a whole bunch. They got 8 returning starters on offense back. So, the Patriots are a little different. They're going to lean on their offensive side of the ball a lot, I think, until they get everybody braked in. But, Bobby now takes over as head coach.
Yeah.
So some dudes that are playing offense might be headed over to the defensive side, which could be scary for a lot of people in the league because they're really good. And, of course, we always love Camden Fairview. Coach Vaughn does a phenomenal job down there. They've got 5 starters back on defense and offense too. And they showed last year they're not scared of Parkview.
Yeah.
They'll give Parkview a challenge night in, night out. Like I said, if anybody's got a chance to beat them in that league, it's going to be Camden Fairview. And then Lakeside, you got to like them too because they've got skilled people. They got their quarterback back in that league is pretty impressive too. And then, their big offensive tackle, Tucker Young's back. So I think that, there could be some challenges for Parkview. We're saying that this team's won 27 games in the last 2 years. They've won 3 state titles in a row. I don't think, what's the drop off here? There can't be too much of a drop off. It might have been the greatest thing ever. Sure, when Bobby, Brad made his decision to come back to God's country, Title Town, I'm sure that he said, "Hey, man, this is great. You can go ahead and go. I'll take over the reins." I don't think there was a lot of discussion on Bobby having to get his arm twisted in that. And like I said, look at that guy. He's won 233 games.
Yeah.
It's not like we're hiring, some guy that, just got off the middle school campus. We're hiring a Hall of Famer. First ballot. No doubt about it. So, yeah, I think it's Parkview's. And it's funny how this league has become the league in 5A.
Yeah,
it has become the league. You get out of this league, you could see 2 of these guys playing each other at War Memorial. There's no doubt about it, especially matchup wise.
Well, and they all won playoffs games, and Coach Kirby over at Magnolia is doing a good job. Also, he's doing a good job.
Oh yes,
he's doing a great job.
And talk about.
And he's changed up his offense this year.
Yeah,
he's going to be running the ball a lot more. I've seen him 7-on-7. And so he's matching his offense to the skill of the players around him.
He's doing a great job. All right, here we go. Over here at the 5A West. And before we get into it, let's bring on Hall of Fame coach, head coach from Farmington, to state runner-up last year, Tommy Tice.
Well, thanks, Jeff. It is fun to be on here with you as always.
Well, let's jump into it real quick. Let's recap. All kinds of things last year exciting went on in Farmington. Let's break it down. You come in late. You take them all the way to the state championship game, go all the way to War Memorial Stadium. You also win a few games and become the number 2 all-time winningest coach in Arkansas on that ride also. Talk to us just a few minutes of recap of what you were thinking this time last year and what you're thinking this time this year. Just in 365 days, there's a lot of changes and a lot of great things and a lot of expectations.
Well, I'll tell you what, we were talking about it this morning, Coach Watley and I. Last year about this time we were headed to our first team camp with 3 practices under our belt. And talking to Hayden Lester, he was telling me today he thought our playbook was rather small. So, it was some challenges, that's for sure.
Well, let's get into it. Y'all went to the War Memorial last year, and now you're preseason number 4 ranked in the coaches poll in the Hootens magazine, ranked number 1. You got 7 guys back on offense, 7 guys back on defense. Let's talk about your offense first, and it all starts with Mr. Lester. There's the magic man himself, but one thing me and you've talked about a little bit off the air before we get into what he's going to bring to the table is your offensive line. You feel like you're better in the offensive line this year than what you were last year. Start with those guys up front.
I tell you what, Jeff, I think I know we're better. How much better? I don't know. I think there's a very high ceiling for this offensive line bunch. You bring back, Jaden Davidson at center and Gavin Hammock at one guard. And also, you got Leighton Mitchell at a tackle. That's 3 starters. Then we got a big plus, Jeff. We had a young man hurt all last year that started for us all summer, Zach Stillwell. And Zach's the biggest kid on the team. He's about 6'4", about 260. And we got him back healthy. And he wasn't healthy. He was in terrible pain back. His back was in bad shape. And, hey, it's just been a big blessing to get him back out there. And then we had a kid named Braxton Hartman, who was a backup defensive tackle, has moved in at right guard. And then you bring over a very talented sophomore in Asa Johnson, who's one of our bigger kids too. He's about 6'1", about 235, 240. And then we got the Swiss Army knife in Jackson Seward, who can play all the positions in the offensive line. So we feel real good, Jeff, about our offensive line.
Well, I know I've talked to you, and that's one thing you keep bringing up. Now, let's get into the magic man himself, Mr. Lester. I don't know if you could top his year, what he had last year, but knowing the competitor that he is, he's going to try to top it. Talk to just what he brings to the table, leadership, just an unbelievable player and what a winner.
Well, to give you an idea about his leadership, we work out, we're a little different than some, I guess, but we came out of spring ball. We took the last week off in May. We came out of June where we had 3 days a week, and we had the dead period, 2 weeks off. And now we're into July where we are working 4 days a week and taking Fridays off. And every opportunity that Aiden has had to be there throwing the football and lifting weights, he has been there. He is a great leader by example, not only in words spoken, but the example that he believes that he sets an example. It'll either be good or bad, but he's going to set it. And he's chosen to be one of those guys that wants to set a good example all the time.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It was fun watching him last year. Excuse me. Let's move to the other side of the ball. Had a change in the defense coordinator, old Bill Harrelson, a guy that, you've known for a long time, is, Hall of Fame coach. Is taking over calling your defense. One big thing you've done is taking your defensive end, Mr. Brown, and put him at middle linebacker and had a phenomenal spring. Talk to us about having Bill take over the defense, and then also just what's the defense going to look like with some of these moves that you made in the offseason.
I made some moves, that's for sure. You talk about losing someone like Morgan Shader that's led the Cardinals in tackling the last 2 years and played 3 years. Very, very difficult to replace somebody like that. I'm not sure that you do. But moving Jaquel, a two-time All-State defensive end to middle linebacker, would either be one of the greatest moves we ever made or one of the dumbest. But Jaquel can handle it. And the thing about Jaquel, we laser time our 40-yard dashes, and I've seen him run a 4.54 3 times. Wow. And so we're not going to get outrun at the corner. That's not going to happen. And we saw what a great linebacker that Parkview had at doing that. And we're hoping that Jaquel can do that for our defense. Now, you mentioned Bill Harrelson. Of course, you lose Casey Moreland, a premier defensive coach in the state. But you come in there with somebody like Bill, and there's been no drop off at all. Very enthusiastic, he's very organized, he's a Hall of Fame coach. What can you say? But defensively, we've got some people back that are really, really good players. You talked about Jaquel, another defensive end, Trevor Harvey, one of the better defensive players in our league. About 6'3", about 210-pound defensive end, and he's hard to block. Then, of course, the Seward boy that we talked about earlier on offense, he is a two-way guy. Jackson Seward certainly is. In the secondary, we have a young man, Peyton Bailey, a corner that's pretty good hand. Also, we've moved Nate Bullion, who was a backup corner, but Mr. Everything on our special teams. He's a safety, which is really fitting in there good for us. And then the thing about our defense, Jeff, 10 of the 11 positions are seniors.
Wow.
And that's another thing about our team. We've got 32 seniors on the ball club.
Wow.
So, they know where to go get their equipment, and things like that. They know their way around the building.
You've done this a long time. Is this up there with the most seniors you've ever coached on one football team?
Oh, this is by far the most seniors. Most of my teams in Huntsville only had 32 people on them altogether.
Yeah.
Back in those days. And of course, when I was at Harrison, we had averaged about, 55 kids. And the other day I looked at the roster and 102 on there. So,
wow.
And it's killing Bo Thompson because he got to buy all his uniforms.
He can afford it. Tell him to get the checkbook out. My God.
We had 2 kids the other day that, and you do this, kids that had other things that they'd rather do. And I came in and told Joanne we had a couple leave. And she said, well, that ought to make Bo happy. You just made him a couple $1,000.
Well, that's good stuff. Well, Coach, let's get into your non-conference. I mean, one change, playing Edmond North, who, was I kind of am familiar with that area a little bit, and they always got a great football program going. Got Harbor, got a new coach, Darren Dana hired, and he's going to do a good job. Then obviously the staple, the big rival, Prairie Grove and non-conference. Talk to us a little bit. You went through it last year, just learning on the ropes. I mean, being in there in a short period of time, and came out of that deal 1-2 a little bit, but then you got going. But obviously, playing these tough opponents prepares you for that tough 5A West Conference.
Well, it does, because the 5A West from top to bottom is the toughest 5A league in the state, and it's proven out that way for many years. But you play a tough non-conference schedule to get you ready for that conference season, and of course then you throw in that rival game with Prairie Grove, and when we'd come through first 2 rounds last year and sitting there 0-2 and going to Prairie Grove coming in, all of a sudden we're behind 8-0, and I was thinking this may be a very short stay in Farmington. I'm telling you. But anyway, it is a good non-conference schedule, and also we'll scrimmage with Van Buren in the preseason scrimmage. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but you get to the 5A West, and there's some awfully good teams in there this time.
Well, and there's no doubt. I mean, I'm sitting here looking. I've talked to a lot of coaches in this league. I mean, sitting there, Morton sitting there chomping at the bit. I mean, they've got their quarterback back, and probably one of the greatest games in Arkansas football history. You two played last year, unbelievable. And you're sitting there. Greenbrier's got their running back back. Harrison was maybe had some injuries last year. They're going to bounce back, and you've got to go to Harrison. You got Valonia with Clint Ashcraft, Rushy Bush at Alma, a new coach at Pea Ridge, obviously, and Tony Travis, and then Clarksville. So, this thing's here, just like we talked about last year, you could kind of wad everybody up, and whoever got a little bit lucky or who got a break came out with it. But, and you guys did that. But talk about, Morton, Greenbrier, Harrison, Valonia, Alma. Just talk about going through that gauntlet, trying to get into the playoffs.
Well, it's a real tough road to go down.
Yeah.
And, the thing about Harrison last year, they had so many people get hurt. They thought they should have thought this way, that they were going to be one of the better teams last year. They're going to have a very fine football team this time. Eli McNutt is back off an awful knee injury, but he's completely well. And he is ready to go. And, he's about 6'2", about 225, and he can run. He's a great player. Of course, the running back at Greenbrier is in a class by itself.
Yeah.
He can go from 99 or however far you want him to go, makes no difference, but his vision is just unreal. But then you got Morrison, you got that dadgum quarterback, and he is really, really good. And I tell you what, he put on a show against us and most people, and some outstanding receivers, but they've added a running back, Jeff.
I know.
And that running back's got speed, and he's got to be dealt with. I know Alma has always got a good football team. Got a good football team. I know Pea Ridge is excited to have Tony Travis back. We've seen him a time or two in some summer stuff, and they're going to be okay. Clarksville probably struggles a little bit, but they'll be better because they got a lot back.
Yeah.
So. And then Valonia, Valonia's kind of a wild card.
They sure are, and always are, aren't they, Coach? They always.
And I don't trust Ashcraft. I've never trusted him. I don't know if he knows that. I hope you tell him. I don't trust him.
Well, he'll watch the show. I used to coach against him too, and I didn't trust him either. So I understand where you're coming from there.
Well, yeah, that guy'll find a way to beat you. You got to be careful with Ashcraft.
That's the truth. Well, Coach. We talked about your conference, and let's talk about 5A. I've had a couple coaches on here from the South. Had Zach Clark, had Leroy Hood on from Texarkana, Coach Cockrell over in Valley View from the East. Parkview is dominated. They're at the top. They had a coaching change, and the whole thing they did was just bring in another Hall of Fame coach and Bobby Boating to take over. Who's been there as a defensive coordinator, been through with all 3 championships. You got you guys, a lot of people were excited. Morrilton. You've got Joe T, Maumelle, Camden Fairview. Hot Springs Lakeside. There's a bunch of great teams in this 5A, and you've coached in the 5A. You know, you were at Harrison for a long time and understand it. But as far as top to bottom, this might be the toughest classification in the state. What do you have to do to get your team back to War Memorial and finish what you started?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff, if you would tell me that we wouldn't have one starter miss any time for injury and that we would only have 6 turnovers this year, I might guarantee it. Because that's what happened last year.
Yeah.
You know, but I tell you what, the 5A, you know, they can play with lots of teams in any classification. Those are all great teams, great programs, great coaches, but it seems to be a lot tougher this time. There are more really good ball clubs, I think. Yeah. So it's going to be you got to get, the main thing is you got to get in that tournament.
Yep.
You know, been lots of good teams set at home over the years, you know, so you got to find a way to get in. And then anything can happen, of course. But, you know, you talk about Valley View to Texarkana to Searcy to Parkview to Morrilton, you know, Greenbrier and people like that. I mean, my gosh, those are just great teams. And you got to have, you know, you got to have some luck, you know. And that'd be another thing, Jeff. If you could guarantee me we could come from behind in the fourth quarter and win 5 ball games, I also would guarantee you we'd be there.
Well, you've known me for a long time. I can't give anybody luck on anything, you know, just almost, I've always been a natural born loser and I understand it. So, you know, well, Coach, hey man, really looking forward. Your guys will be in top 10 game of the week and we're going to get you on there and we'll be checking your workout. Love watching your teams play. As a matter of fact, I believe week 1 there, I'm going to get to see you live and in person and really looking forward to it.
Well, we are too, Jeff. We really appreciate what y'all do for high school football, and it's been great to watch your show grow, and y'all just get better and better, and we really do appreciate you. You know, I don't like you very well personally, but, you know, other than that, I think it's great.
It is, man. Well, that kicked me off for long. Get somebody better.
You know, you guys, I love y'all because you've gone from coaches to doing something constructive with your life.
That's good stuff. Well, Coach,
and I love that laugh.
Oh, well, that's one thing we're going to do. We laugh on here a lot and everything. Coach, I appreciate it. We'll see you guys down the road and look forward to this season. Thanks for coming on. You can see Coach Tice is extremely excited about his football team. What a great run last year. Those guys got hot at the right time, went through the league, won the league, started off a little slow with their non-conference schedule. And I'm going to hit with Thomas first, and I'll go to Mouth, is Farmington, Morrilton. I mean, Morrilton was probably the game of the year, maybe the game of the last 10 years.
Not one defensive stop was made.
In that part of it. Farmington's coming in with a lot of momentum. And then let's just throw it out there. Is Morrilton, Coach McNabb's a defensive guy. And I got to laughing this spring. He had a lot of his offensive guys out playing baseball, so we just had defensive spring practice this year. Is all that. You know, Greenbrier's got a great running back. You got Harrison, the one nobody's talking about, and you better keep an eye on them. Valonia's going to start 17 seniors. Alma's always in the mix, Pea Ridge, and then Clarksville. Let's start with you, Thomas, on this one, this 5A West.
This I really think any of the top 6 teams could win the conference.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Morrilton, Greenbrier, Harrison, Valonia, Alma. All those teams are going to be competitive. This is probably the most competitive for the one spot. But Morrilton, Maddox Berry is my guy. He threw 11 touchdowns in a game, state record last year versus Farmington. That was the 78 in a loss, which is crazy. Yeah. But I think he's back, and he's fun to watch. And Farmington with Coach Tice, is there anybody not rooting for Coach Tice?
Yeah.
I mean, like once you meet him and talk to him, everybody loves him. I mean, it's hard not to root for them. And but Greenbrier with the running back. I mean, so this is going to be a fun conference to watch.
It is. Mouth, what's your take on this?
Man, I want to give a shout. The coaching in this conference is just outstanding. I mean,
it is good.
Look at what goes on. Coach Tice and his staff, they're older than dirt, but but they get it done. You know, I mean, what they did after their start last year, I asked Coach Tice after they lost one game, like 56-52. I said, "Are you playing basketball?" He said, "We're trying." But Aiden Lester makes them go. Then you go to Moulton. Their quarterback is outstanding. Cody McNabb does a great job. His son, Champ, wide receiver, great football player, great baseball player. Champ, we need him to be able to stay healthy this year. Missed several games with a rib injury or lung injury. Then it just this is the league that just keeps on giving to everybody. And, you know, it's really fun. Harrison is an outstanding program. Bologna with Coach Ashcraft just did an outstanding job. He does Coach Ashcraft things. They make the playoffs. We're expecting him bigger and better things from him this year. So this is an outstanding conference. Let's give their coach, as I said, let's give these coaching staffs a whole lot of credit.
It is. It's a good conference. Daryl, talk to us before we wrap this up in the 5A. You're talking this 5A West. Boy, it's gonna be tough. But I like Morton. I like Farmington also, but I like Morton too.
You know, this is a league that, once again, they're a lot alike. If you look at them, you know, Maddox Berry threw for 4,200 yards. Lester had 4,000 yards of total offense. I mean, that's unbelievable. Here's the biggest key is, can anybody tackle anybody? Yeah. That's the problem. We got to be able to tackle some folks in this league, because, I mean, you're looking at 3 teams that scored over 30 points last year, and, you know, predominantly played in that conference. But I think Farmington, with what they're returning, and then you've got to look their offensive line. They got 4 starters back on the offensive line for Farmington. And Morrilton, I know for a fact, Coach McNabb's been out there throwing that circle tackle, and we're just been wrapping people up left and right. Because if there's one thing that I know about McNabb, he does not like getting in shootouts. All right, he doesn't. Yeah, he's not real appreciative, because when he gets home, Karen's going to get on to him about, "Hey, can you stop anybody?" So, I mean, I'm sure that he's getting coached up at home, you know, defensively. So I think Morrilton's going to end up winning this league. I think that they're going to be the one that comes out of this league. I think that they're so explosive offensively, and I think if they can do anything defensively, I think that, and like I said, I think Coach McNabb's a little bit motivated on that side. And I'm sure all those kids are going to be a little bit motivated on that side.
Well, and
I don't think that we're going to be in the yellow shirts, you know, week 4. I think we're going to still be tackling some folks. So I think Morrilton's going to be the one that comes out in that league.
Well, and
which gives them a chance.
Side note, Farmington, new defense coordinator, great Bill Harrelson. They've moved their defensive end to middle linebacker, and I've seen them got more speed on the field this year on defense. So that'll be interesting. It's kind of, I was talking to Coach Wally, the offense coordinator from Farmington, about, you know, this game later on down the road. He ain't worried about it now, but he goes, you know how it all works out. He said it'll probably be 14-7 this year. You know,
oh yeah, this is true.
That's worked out.
True.
Well, let's wrap this up. Your look here, just kind of around the room. 5A, Parkview, kind of the favorite, Thomas. And
Parkview goes for their 4th straight. And I think Robinson's right there. Robinson, Lakeside, and Camden Fairview are right there, going to push them for it. This should be a fun group.
And then if the 5A West, whoever gets that 1 seed's got home field advantage, and they're away from Parkview. Talk to me a little bit about this, the 5A, your thoughts to Parkview, who can challenge them.
Like Thomas said, I believe Robinson's right there, Camden Fairview's right there, and Lakeside Hot Springs is right there in that league. We've touched on it already. That's an outstanding conference of coaches too. The Fighting Vaughns, they've improved every year. Then you look at Coach Rockwell at Hot Springs Lakeside. He's doing one heck of a job there. And then you got to say the old grizzled veteran, Coach Boulding just comes in there with 273 wins. Let's go. You know, I mean, how lucky are you at Parkview you lose a great coach, and his brother is right there, Bob, to take over. You don't miss a beat.
And not a lot of staff changes on that. Daryl, your thoughts on the last finish up this 5A?
Well, the genius move on Parkview was allowing Brad to hire Bobby. Whoever that guy was a genius. like, hey, we're set for life here, man. Yeah, Parkview, phenomenal. Setup. Like I said, you don't win 27 games in the last 2 years and not have some great players, great schemes, great coaches, which they have. Joe T's, the same thing historically speaking. They're right there. You like Lakeside because what he's done there. He's definitely, fixed that culture quickly. Farmington, what Coach Tice is going to do. They're going to be, it's just a heck of a race here. And here's the thing is it's going to be really like if you get second in one of these leagues and you get opposite of your ones, I mean, you can make a run and not be, you not have to, face them until the state finals at least. But
second,
you
third.
got Valley View still sneaking around. You got Morrilton who can score on anybody. If they get anything defensively, they could be one of those teams that sneak up on you because you don't see it every week. You just hope that it doesn't rain. If you're playing, if you're Morrilton, you hope that never comes into play because you depend on throwing it so much. And then you got Nettleton sneaking around. Maumell's got some players. Greenbrier's, always in the mix there. So, and here's the funny thing is, like, it's really hard to tell about Pine Bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that, they've won what, 50 state titles or something. I mean, when's the year that, they pop off again? It's just got to be one of those times where, everything hits. But I think Parkview's head and shoulders above everybody else. And like I said, I don't know when it stops because you got a Hall of Fame coach now that's leading them too. So the drop off there is probably not going to be very much. And you hope that, Joe T keeps plugging along there too. So, but I still think it's Parkview.
I agree with you. Well, wrapping this section off here, this part off, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the Mouth Brent Bender, and Thomas Thrash from Hootens, we'll see you next time.